Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. Give me just a second here. I'm gonna adjust the sound a little bit so you guys can hear me over the game as well. Excuse me. Just a precaution. I'm a little bit sick today, so gonna hear a lot of throat clearing. So I apologize for that. We're gonna go down here over to language as well, just because. Oh no, not the text language. Make that shit Chinese. Because it helps me with immersion if it sounds a little bit, more authentic. Plus, a lot of people complain about games like this having their dialogue be like super cheesy and shit. I mean, I personally love it. That's why I love the Dynasty Warriors series. But so yeah, Wo Long. This is a game that I personally have been looking forward to since I first heard about it. Like I want to say a year, maybe 2 years ago. Um, it's basically if we want to be as simple as humanly possible. It is Dynasty Warriors and Sekiro decided to have some unprotected sex, and here it is. This is the baby that came out of it. I have played a fair amount of it. I will fully disclose that, but that's just because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have any like crashing issues or any issues that may have made streaming or recording videos a little bit more difficult. So yeah, without further ado, let's get this going. We're gonna hit new game here. Now I resonate with this for a couple reasons, but namely, I myself have Chinese heritage that goes all the way back to the Three Kingdoms era, with the Sun family, which most people would know as basically like the forces of Wu, if you know the Three Kingdoms. Now, I'm not going to read what the dialogue's saying. You can feel free to pause it. I'm probably going to skip through a lot of this too, just because like I don't want dead space. But I like it. I like the cutscenes in this game. A lot of people don't. And then these things, I like how they made them fucking locusts look, but they're unfortunately never an enemy. Starting off strong. Zhong Bao of the Yellow Turban Rebellion. Zhong Zhao, the leader of the Yellow Turban Rebellion. And that one there is the youngest brother of the Yellow Turbans. I like how they depicted him as the strong guy in this game. There's our character. Death is only a mild inconvenience when you have Resurrection Jade. Alright, Kung Lao. This character never gets named. Alright, now we get into the character creator. So, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here. But just to like give you guys an idea that this is a very expensive character creator. Because like here, we put figure and then we can choose appearance and you can basically choose any of these guys here. I like that they just have a character from fucking Kiss here. But yeah, you can just choose all these templates. And then when you back out, you've got the face, which includes fucking aging on individual parts of the body or the whole thing. You can change your eye colors, obviously. There's face decoration, which is basically just, scars and different markings and such. Face accessories, which, your eye patches, blindfolds. You have a fucking monocle if you want to. So I like it. I like that it's a very expensive character creator because then you also have like the hairstyles Where like here, I'll choose random hair here, and then you can choose the bangs that you want to put on the hair. So like you have like a bunch of choices to put like individual bangs on top of whatever hair you choose. You can also put like different colored tips, and you can choose the length of like how long the hair is. You can also choose like the curliness of it. It's probably one of the most expensive character creators that I've ever dealt with in a game like this, and so I appreciate it. But I'm gonna go ahead, and I've actually already made a couple characters, so I'm going to yeah, we're gonna choose this one right here and apply them, and then I can also change the name of it, which I thought I did, but apparently it didn't like go through. So her name is Lu Suyang. I also decided to make Lu Bu just to be funny. Tried to make his Dynasty Warriors 8 appearance. There's Sunji, which is basically just I made him so that like if I want to go through and play with a female or play with a male, I can basically try out all the different armors because there's actually a fair amount of good armors that actually have different appearances for the male and female models, and I like it when games do that. Gives me a reason to play multiple characters. So yeah, so we're gonna pick her. We're gonna go ahead and finalize that shit. Actually, let me make sure that her eyes are the yep. Fucking heterochromia. Gotta have that in all of my games. And yes, I made her tits gigantic. Deal with it. It is a Ninja Gaiden game. If you don't have at least one character with giant tits, you're playing it wrong. This guy's a creep. He's always fucking like licking his lips and everything. Like, he's a creepy ass old man. So this guy, don't get too attached to him because like he literally never shows up again after this mission. I don't really know what his importance is, and I'm sure later on in the game it'll explain it, but where I'm currently sitting at, he is just never brought up again. Alright, so here we are, fucking Wo Long, up in the middle of it. So, one of the things that I love about this game that makes it stand apart to me from like other action RPGs is this shit right here. This is your dodge button. It is also your deflect. And I like that. I like that they're both bound to the same button. It makes it a little bit easier for me, because now I can hold down block and then do a deflect and have less risk in missing the deflect. But honestly, the first thing I gotta say is that this is not a Souls game. I know everybody and their grandmother keeps calling it a Souls game, but I promise you, it is not a Souls game. It is its own contained thing, and I love it. So, combat's pretty straightforward, you know. You wait for them to come at you, you time dodges a little bit better than I just did there because I fucked that up. I definitely went a little too early there. But it's so fucking satisfying. When you nail a deflect, like, it feels so good to nail that deflect. Because, like, I don't know how familiar most of you would be with, like, the actual, like, martial arts and shit. But the movements that you do when you do a deflect are actual movements that are done in martial arts. Like, the combat in this game, they did so good at trying to replicate, like, the actual fighting styles that you would do with weapons like these. And I appreciate that detail, I really do. It makes the game feel so much better to me. So that popped up for half a second there. That was the tutorial on... Here, like, it'll pop up here. There's a tutorial on morale rank right here. That's what popped up. And that is probably one of the most important mechanics of the game, and the fact that it's just a 3-second pop-up is why a lot of people have had a bad experience with this game. Sorry about that. I had to focus a little bit. I had two of them on me there. But the morale rank, if you notice, there's a 2 above my health bar. That gradually increases as you go through the game and do different, successful combat techniques and shit. Your morale will keep getting higher and higher as you go along. And it's a pretty simplistic system because, like, for example, right there, he's level 4, right? So that's critical blow. That's a whole nother thing I'll explain in a second as well. Gonna counter that, gonna kill him. So he was level 4, and I was level 2, which means that his attacks would have done more damage to me, and it would have taken more hits from me to kill him. And that's pretty much... That's all that there is to the morale system. Obviously, that more sets the difficulty tone, because obviously if you're good enough at the game, then the amount of damage that they do is obviously not going to matter. But for the most part, it really is just that simple. The person with the higher number is going to be the harder thing to fight. Now, that doesn't apply to things like backstabs, obviously, because like you see, he's a 3 and I just one-shot him, because, backstabs. But the danger doesn't really start until it's a 5-level difference. So, like, if I'm level 3 here, then enemies that are level 8 or higher are going to be a lot more difficult to fight than, say, an enemy that's like level 4 or 5. And it's a pretty intuitive system. It's pretty easy to grasp when you actually know it. But like I said, the problem is that the tutorial pop-up happens for like 2 seconds. And if you move forward, then you can miss it entirely. I think it definitely should have been its own, like, pop-up. It should not have just been... There we go. It should not have just been like a 2-second pop-up. It should have been its own pop-up window. Ooh. So critical blows, that's what I was going to explain next. So critical blows are basically just moves that damage your spirit. But if you don't successfully parry them, then your morale rank will drop. So it's good to either parry them or dodge out of the way of them if you don't think you can parry them. Because it undoes all your work in the regards of, like, getting your morale rank raised. Like, for example, here we go. There's this big Taigi right here, right? So he's level 15 and I'm level 4. Which means he's going to push my shit in if I'm not careful. So let's see how I do. Oop, get that free damage. I hate it when they're that close to me. Oop. So he's really going after Blindfold Boy. Sekiro trained me well for enemies like this, because this is basically the centipede. Now, as you can see right there, he delayed so many times there. So I fucking dodged. I dodged way too early that whole time. I mean, obviously they're going to delay attacks because they know you're going to get comfortable in a rhythm, and so they want to change it up to make it so that you fucking learn the game. And I just personally, it's like, hey, I mean, this happened in Elden Ring, If you got too comfortable in it, then you started getting shit on. I like that you can parry attacks not even meant for you. Like, he was just laying into Blindfold Boy, but I was still able to parry him. There we go. And unfortunately, all you get is a belt hook. You really don't get a lot of good things for fighting things higher than you. But for me, it's more like the sense of accomplishment. Like, yeah, I just fucking beat that thing. I didn't have to beat that thing. I didn't even have to fight it. But I did fight it, and I won. So it's an amazingly satisfying feeling. That being said, obviously, if you don't think you can handle something, then, you know, you can save it for later. Or in the case of this tiger, like, I didn't even need to fight that guy. He was just here. Well, okay, so equipment weight in this game works the same way it does in a game like Neo or even Elden Ring. I'm trying to use, like, more recent comparisons just so that, you know, people know what I'm talking about here. But basically, the lower your equip weight, the better your character's movement's going to be, and thus the easier it's going to be to deflect moves. And this is displayed by when you go into equipment, you can see the equipment weight, 23.4% or 7.5. So that means that's the lowest. That's the lightest that my armor can be. And the rolls don't really have any iframes in this game, so you definitely don't want to be over-encumbered. So like I said, the game's pretty straightforward, but a lot of the tutorials it gives you are just like blink and you'll miss it tutorials. And with how expansive the combat is in this game, I would argue that they probably shouldn't have it go by as fast as some of them do. Because it can lead to a lot of people struggling with the game if they don't know that you have a specific morale system. So that's just explaining martial arts, which is... I don't really use them too much because they drain a lot of your stamina. But here, I'll show you now that I don't have anything to fight here. So I think that's meant to be a counter of some kind. I'm not 100% on that. I'd have to actually read it, but like here. If you go and look at the weapon, it says Starfall. So if I choose description, I go down to Starfall. Leap high and forcefully slash downward. And then I can go here and do the same thing. Advance forward while sweeping the enemies in front of you, then finish with a powerful blow. Additional input. Press the art's input during the sweep attack to immediately execute the finishing blow. So like if I do this and then just press square, it stops me from spinning. So these are basically just used to get a little bit more spirit out of the enemy that you're attacking, but they also drain your stamina bars, so... Which I haven't really gotten into. I think a tutorial popped up on it already, but basically this game doesn't have stamina in the same way that most games tend to have stamina. The way the stamina works in this game is off of a spirit gauge. When your spirit gauge is blue, then you can do like cool moves and stuff like this, and your heavy attacks, and they'll do more damage without leaving you vulnerable. But, like here, let me... I spam this, spam it again, spam it one more time. So, see where the orange is? If I get hit, then I get staggered. And obviously you don't want to get staggered in games like this, because that's just how you get your shit pushed in. So we're going to go ahead and let that fill out. And then we're going to fight this guy. Defeat a leader who could take the enemy's battle flag. Yeah, so that one I don't remember the timing on, so I got away from him so that he couldn't hit me with it. I would recommend doing that until you're like a little bit more used to the game. Just because a lot of these red attacks are going to fuck you up. And as I said, if they don't kill you, they're going to steal your morale, so... Can definitely leave you in a bad spot. But for now, let's go fight the first boss. People are saying that this boss here is the hardest boss in the entire game, and I would argue that that's not even remotely close to true. I think the fight with a certain someone else is a lot harder than this one. Zhang Liang. Now, obviously, since it's a tutorial boss, people who aren't used to games like this are probably going to struggle a lot with him as a boss. So I'm going to give him a stab. But I do like him as a tutorial boss. I think he definitely sets the pace for what you're going to deal with for the rest of the game. A second. Bad time for... Oh my god, shut up. I know. Anyway. Sorry about that, everybody. Apparently my controller was low and I didn't even notice it. But as you can see, the game is forgiving enough that even though my controller died, I was still able to stay alive. So I would argue this game is a little bit more forgiving than a game like, say, Dark Souls or Sekiro or something like that, because if my controller died while I was in the middle of fighting, like, Champion Gundyr, for example, then that would have just been it. I would have been done. And so I think the game's a lot more forgiving as far as action RPGs are concerned. So now we're going to see the true power of the elixir. Oh, he got beefy. He became a beefy boy. Let's go, motherfucker. Let's go, motherfucker. See, now, I have a tendency to put up the guard before going for a deflex because it gives me a little bit more room for error. See, like, both of those would have just been me getting hit right there. Oh. Parry it. Hit him once. I have a tendency to be a little bit more, like, cautious when I'm fighting things. I could probably be a little bit more aggressive than I am being, but... There we go. And now I can activate the cutscene, and that's it. The fight's over. Now, I could have continued fighting him, but I didn't have any heals left, so I didn't want to just take a death there if I didn't need to. But that is a divine spirit. And that is the first boss of the game. He turned him into a demon. He's a very conniving old man, this one. Why he doesn't just kill us right then and there, I guess we could just say that that's the fucking cliche villain thing. Either that or he just really didn't view us as a threat, I don't know. That armor does look really cool. And establishing shot leading to a title card. I'm going to end this one here. I'm going to try to do this on a stage-by-stage basis, depending on how long it takes me to get through a stage, how much I decide to talk my ear off, and ultimately how much I decide to cut down. So, if you enjoyed it, I'm glad that you did, and I hope you come back for the next one. And for now, we're going to go ahead and call this one here, and this was Wo Long. Thank you for sticking around, and I hope to see you guys in the next part.